setting up different types of suspension rigs. So I will include a standard spring way, and then we will also include a split pivot point suspension so that we can basically get the best of both worlds. Now, in order to get the rig set up, we're going to need to first take a look at the pivot points and get those secured. And being that this is the most complex portion of the bike, which by the way, this information can be translated to a motorcycle as well if it has a similar suspension setup. Usually this is on this side or something like that, or it's facing that way, but it can be done. So just keep in mind of your pivot points. So let's take a look here. This is just the frames pivot point, and it really isn't affecting much other than moving everything else as everything is parented to it. And then we have this piece here where the pivot point is in this little whole section here. Similarly, this pivot point is in this whole section. Same goes for this. I have this upper piston piece parented to this lower piston piece. And that is so it can follow around on this angle as it's going downward. So there's a little bit of work to be done there to get it moving, but it can be done. And then that's pretty much it. So, I mean, like these are the main pivot points for control over this particular mesh. And while it won't be absolutely perfect, it will be functional. And that is the best I could ask for right now. So I'm just gonna grab on the Z. So first thing I'm gonna do is import my assets from the previous bike tutorial. And in this case, I don't need a whole lot. So I'm going to rotate Z minus 90. Scale 0.75. That seems to be okay. I think that's all right. Yeah, it's pretty close. I'll have to move some stuff around, but yeah, it's all right. Okay, so go ahead and grab on the Z-axis, bring it up to about here, I'll say for now, so I can line everything up. Next, I'm going to select the original mesh and separate this. I'm also going to select all and merge by distance, Alt J, convert tries to quads, and then I'm going to loop select these parts that I need for later. Okay, I think that should do it. And I'm just going to hide this for now. And everything else can go. Next, I need to select this rear wheel, A, merge by distance. And yes, it looks bad for a moment. Edge split, shade smooth. Now I can loop select this just fine, and this piece. Okay, I'm going to separate this. And the reason why I'm going to get rid of this wheel is because if you'll notice, if I spin it, when I set its origin to geometry, it's offset, and we can't have that. So I'm just going to Shift S, cursor to selected, select the front wheel, set its origin to geometry, give it a custom name, select the rear wheel and delete it, Shift D, and Shift S to selection and cursor. And we should be good to go. Great. And then I'll just select these parts and join them back up. But they don't have the edge split applied, so I'll go ahead and re-add that. All right. So I'm going to save this as bike tutorial. And then we will set origin to geometry. I need my widget. There you are. Rotate. And bring it down, maybe just a little. Forward. Cool. All right. And I'm just going to parent this to the body, which I will now rename to frame. Okay. All right, so I'll go into edit mode and I'm going to loop select this, Shift S, cursor to selected, and back out, object set origin to 3D cursor. And I'm going to rotate this into an upright position, which in this case will be 29.48. So I'll just, it's 29.5 going to hurt? Probably not. So I'll just rotate 29.5. Yeah, it is a bit off. I'm gonna go with the rotate 29.48. I don't know why I feel better about that. I just do. All right, and apply its rotation, and then rotate minus 29.48. And we'll go to local. And as you can see now, when I rotate, this is what it does. So we're gonna go back to global so we can move it into place. Actually, we need to select this too. Okay. And now I can go into edit mode, local, wireframe, select all this stuff and just bring them down. And then back out. Now I actually don't need this piece. But I will need to rotate this and move it a little bit. Just kind of center it, you know. Bring it down. About there. Seems okay. And for this, I'm just gonna, oh, okay. We'll loop select and just scale it up a bit. And I'm going to look at it from front view. Maybe I'll move it, scale it on the x-axis. There we go. I guess that's all right. Like, I'm not going for absolute perfection here. I'm just trying to set it up. So, and then looking at the handlebars, they are way offset. Everything is. Wait, what's going on here? Okay, so that's not bad. I can just slide this over. It should be fine. And now I can loop select this and this, separate. This will act as our suspension. I'm going to object set origin to geometry. And then I'm going to parent the front wheel to that. Cool. That's the beginning of our suspension. So if I still rotate on the z-axis, it spins that way, but I need to parent this to the handlebars now. And keep that rotation. Looks good to me. And now I just need to select these. And bring them forward. Now, as far as the chain goes, I can move this down and then have the chain just kind of rotate, towards that. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. But that's going to take a little work. So it's kind of like altering how it originally is now, but it's fine because it'll be worth it in the long run. So I'm just going to grab on the z-axis. Or I'm just going to move it down. That seems okay. Going to firstly get rid of this floor. And then I'm going to select everything but the handlebars. And the suspension. Cool. Apply rotation. And I don't know who's throwing it off like that, but I don't like it. So yeah, everybody's rotation should be forward for the most part, and minus whichever one is making it not forward. So, okay, so we're good here. And now we can parent the handlebars to the body. Awesome. And then I can also, looks like I need to move this up a little. Yeah, that should do. Okay. All right. And now And I can also set this to be parented to the body. Though I need to go in here and find a solid rotation. And in this case, object set origin to 3D cursor. Sweet. And then I can just parent both of these guys to U. Control P. Actually, let me set their origins first. And now parent. Cool. Now the curve is a little different. Go ahead and save. So I'm going to set origin to geometry. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to set origin to 3D cursor. And the reason why, so that I can get away with doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same for this and rotate them both. So this will save me a lot of trouble later by just doing that. And it was so simple. Look how small that is. All right, and then I'm going to also parent both of those to the body as well. Okay, and then lastly, we just have our rear wheel here, which I will parent to this lower fork, but as you can see, lining it up didn't really matter too much because I'll still need to stretch out the chain rig a little bit in order for it to match up, which is fine. So I'm just moving this into place here. And so I just got to pull the chain rig out a little bit further than here and it'll be good to go. And that should be good. So I'll just Control P and parent this to this piece here. And now everything should be able to follow the body now. Great. That is great. And then I'm just gonna set its location. Actually, you know, I'll just apply all transforms instead. That way, if I wanted to do something cool like rotate it on the x-axis and do it, that make it do like a lean thing, I can also do that as well. So yeah, on that. Good, so now we're ready to add all the constraints and cool stuff that makes it do bike things. So I'm going to Shift C and then add a curve circle, which I will scale times 5. And I'm just going to bring the bike back a little bit. Actually, let's look at this from top view and see what we have here. Oh yeah, I need to bring it back. And just apply its location again. And next we will just parent this to our new controller. which I will now name main control. And wherever it goes, the bike goes. And this will also help guide our wheels. So let's go ahead and move on to that step now. All right, so we'll select our front wheel here and go into the object constraint. We're going to set a transform, and it will be our main control. Extrapolate, local to local. Map from, we will set -1 to 1, and map to, we will set to rotation of y, x, z, and then set this to -360 to a max of 360. And that should give us motion. Awesome. That looks so good. All right. So now we can do the same thing for the rear wheel. So add a transform, main control, extrapolate, local to local with -1 min and 1 max. Set rotation to y, x, z, and then -360 to 360. Select our main controller. We have motion. Awesome. So this looks really good. Even for a Frankenstein bike, it looks pretty good. I'm impressed. So next we'll do the pedals, and I'm going to select this one, go into the constraints tab, and we're going to limit rotation. In this case, it is the X and Z, leaving only Y. Okay, so we will add a limit rotation and select just the Y. Same goes for this one, limit rotation, select just the Y. All right, so we're going to add a transformation, main control, extrapolate, local to local. And for this, I'm setting -7 min and a max of 7. And I'm going to map to a rotation y, x, z with -360 to 360 max. And we'll see how that looks. It looks okay. It's a good start. So I'll go ahead and save that. And the next part I need to focus on is the chain.